bad. That's really rough.
I'm telling you.
I mean, when you think about our music and our history, because our music is our history, really, when you think about it.
A large
and I'm
part
glad
of it.
that you captured that in such a dramatic way.
Thank you.
With a piece such that I admire your work. I've always admired your work. And I've admired you and your dramatic presentations every time I go somewhere and see you, because you're very different. And I think that's an asset to you and your family, really, to have that kind of poetry. I'm not that dramatic, but I'm learning. I'm learning from people like you and other people who I see in the community. Sometimes we have people who say, well, poetry is a dying art form. What would you say to that?
I think they're crazy, because poetry is really coming on strong in America. It's always been strong in places like Russia. In Russia, you can get 100,000 people to come out and hear one poet. In America, I was at the Kilimanjaro Club, and I opened for Roy Ayers, who's a jazz musician, as a poet, and I read poetry. I didn't sing nothing. I read poetry. And I've even been a headliner on things as a poet, just as a poet. But I really work very, very hard at my craft. And of course, like we mentioned before, I work with my children.
That's right.
And that really adds to my presentation, because I do a lot of the things that I do for my children.
It's a family affair.
Yeah. They're my homies.
And I like the way you interact with them, when they're on stage. Everything coordinates together.
They mean a lot to me. And one of the things that I'm sending out a challenge to artists right now, including yourself and everybody, because I went to a commission, the 21st Century Commission on African American Males, and there was one man there who's taken in 76 children into his home. 76 children into his home. And one thing I would like to say is I feel that we need to work more individually. We're expecting like maybe we'll write this great play or draw this great picture and it'll bring some idea to the plight of our young people. But I'm saying, why don't we each adopt or take in just 10 people? We don't have to bring them to our homes every night like this man does and feed them, which he does. And he's just a regular working guy, and so is his wife, brother, black man. But that we can just bring them into our lives, introduce them to art, because art really is a form of salvation for a lot of people.
That's very beautiful that you say that.
So can I read one of my children poems?
Yeah, please do.
This book, I've had children pay their last allowance to get this book, because there are raps in here and there are poems for children. And so I'm going to dedicate this poem to all the children.
So there's something for everybody. There's a whole conglomerate of different types of poems.
Yeah, I put everything in here that I liked. And that was the plus of publishing it myself. Because if I did it through some publisher, they'd say, well, you can't put this poem in a book, and you can't put this one in here, and you can't put this one in here. So I did what I wanted to do.
They seem to be good. When you think about major mainstream publishers, they seem to be good at telling people what they can't do.
Right,
and I just want to comment on what you said about children and about taking children in and responsibility. That sometimes we as people, and particularly as black people, some of us try to, I know particularly myself, try to do everything so perfect. Sometimes we end up doing perfectly nothing, But if we can do just do small things, you'd be surprised at the difference that will make in our community. Yeah,
10 Plus 10 is an organization that I am dealing with. I guess you could say I've started. I don't want to start another organization, so I'm doing it under the National Council of Negro Women. But I'm just getting 10 of my friends to deal with 10 women, 10 young women, 10 of my women friends deal with 10, and then it'll be 10 of my men friends deal with 10, and then then they get 10 of their friends, and and after a while everybody will be covered. This poem is called Great Black Men and Women, and it's a rhyme for jump rope and hand clapping. So it will go like, who are some of the great black men? Marcus Garvey, Back to Africa. Martin Luther King, Let Freedom Ring. Malcolm X, Tell Us the Facts. Christopher's Addicts fought the British. Hannibal the Great fought to Rome's Gate. Nelson Mandela, South Africa's leader. Matthew Henson, first on the North Pole. My daddy and me. And then there's who are some of the great black women. Cleopatra, Queen of the Nile, changed the world with her smile. Harriet Tubman, no longer a slave. Underground, she's strong and brave. Sojourner Truth, 6 feet tall, not afraid of anything at all. Rosa Parks, tired feet, changed the course of history. Mary Bethune, educator, president, administrator. Marva Collins, wise and bright, teaching us to read and write. And someday it will be me. I'll go down in history. That's for the girls and the boys.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Very good for the kids too.
Yeah.
Well, us grown-ups also, to have that. Your poetry is very rhythmic.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I'm into that.
Do you feel it? You feel that rhythm when you're writing, or
Yeah, when I write, it's really interesting. It's like I'll start to write. I have an idea, one thought, and then, funnily enough, I have this feeling in my mouth as if I'm about to speak something of substance, and then I'll write it out. And even when I write songs, like there's songs in the book that my children are going to sing with me, a lot of times the words and the music come at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so, you know.
Have you ever taken up music, maybe keyboards or something like that?
Yeah, I've studied music. I've taken voice, even though you can't tell. I've taken voice, but mainly I've done all of that. I've done theater for a long time. I've written. I even made my top.
Yeah, even the designer.
Because art is my life. This is all I do. I don't do anything else. I don't work a 9-to-5 job at this time. I really never have in my whole life so far. I don't always know where my rent is coming from.
So you're fully engrossed in what you're doing.
Yeah. And so when I get bored with this particular form of art, then I deal with another form of art.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm Danny Queen. This is Color Me Poetry. We're having a good time here this evening, and we're going to be right back after this break.